My name is Dante K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And we are looking at Paul's resurrection doctrine in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, where he said the resurrection would be in fulfillment of a prophecy in Hosea. Hosea chapter 13 and verse 14 specifically. Now, Hosea is so rich, absolutely incredibly rich, in its discussion of resurrection. Now, let me remind you that the book of Hosea is about divorce, departure, and death. Yahweh was going to divorce Israel. He had been married to her. Isaiah 50, Isaiah 51, he said, write her a bill. Write a bill against her, for she is not my wife. I am not her husband. Hosea chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. That writing of a bill against her is the writing of divorce. So you have divorce. You have the departure. Yahweh was going to depart from Israel, and he would put her to death. Hosea chapter 5 and 6. But the Lord said he would remarry her. Hosea chapter 2, verse 19. I will betroth you to me again in righteousness. I will betroth you to me forever. He would return to her. Hosea chapter 6. He will come to us like the dew and resurrection. He will raise us up that we may live in his sight. Now, these are the elements, and by the way, there are all sorts of subsets to that, but Hosea breaks itself down so beautifully under those headings. Now, remember that God said he was going to remarry her. How would he remarry her? By making a new covenant with her. I want you to notice in Hosea chapter 2 and verse 18, in that day, what day? In which he said, I will call her my people again. Where it was said she had no mercy, she shall obtain mercy. Where she was said to be not my people, there she shall be, the children of the living God. Hosea chapter 1, 10 and 11. And so here we have God saying that the time was coming in which he would bring her back. Where he had cast them off, he would regather them. Now, notice what he says. In that day, I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, with the birds of the air, and with the creeping things of the ground. Bow and sword of battle I will shatter from the earth to make them lie down safely. I will betroth you to me. See? Covenant and marriage. Well, guess what? In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, Paul spoke of the fact that the time of the resurrection would be the end of the old covenant. Now remember, he had put away Israel, the 10 tribes. But in Hosea chapter 6, 9 and following, the Lord said he would ultimately put away Judah and Jerusalem. It would be in the day of the salvation of the remnant, by the way. I can't develop that right now because of time's sake. But the time was coming, in other words, when he would end the covenant with Judah and Jerusalem. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, Paul is anticipating the resurrection. Remember, resurrection in Hosea. And he anticipated the resurrection when the law that was the strength of sin would be removed. Well, what law was the strength of sin? It was Torah, the old covenant. Paul said, I had not known sin except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. What is that? And he says, I was alive once without the law. But the commandment came. Sin revived and I died. See, it's the same kind of death as in Hosea. Hosea chapter 13, remember? When Ephraim spoke trembling, he was exalted in Israel. When he sinned, he died. What did Israel do? Violated Torah. And so, in Hosea, we have the marriage, which is the resurrection, through the new covenant. In 1 Corinthians 15, we have the resurrection at the end of the old covenant, but that likewise entails the coming of the Lord for his wedding that we have covered earlier, the time of the new covenant. Once again, folks, this is absolutely beautiful stuff. And I develop all of this in my 30-lesson MP3 series on Hosea and 1 Corinthians chapter 15. As I've suggested to you, Hosea, there are 22 parallels between Hosea and 1 Corinthians 15. I've only touched on a couple of them here. And you will be amazed at how beautifully Paul interweaves Hosea into 1 Corinthians 15, and you will be amazed at how powerfully that proves that the resurrection was to be at the end of the old covenant, not at the end of the Christian age, not at the end of the new covenant age, which has no end, but at the end of the old covenant age, the old covenant, which was the strength of sin. Go to my website, donkpreston.com, bibleprophecy.com, and order the series on Hosea in 30 lessons. You'll love this material. We have more from Hosea, so we'll see you on the flip side.